Hey everybody, welcome back. I want to know down below what was your first RPG, if you're into RPGs or something, which I think most people are. So what was your first one? I'm dying to know because tonight we're going to start what I hope is a series of videos where I'm going to talk about what I am considering my first real RPG because I've played the Pokemon games before, but I'm not going to really count those. I've never played Final Fantasy. I never played any Zelda game. I never played. I don't know what else is a. I've never played any JRPG or anything. But I have finally started as of like a week ago or so. Um, Tales of Vesperia, the definitive edition, for my Xbox One, and let's just get some kind of visual on the screen. There we go. Um, so what got me to wanting to play this game was like I'm on sort of that like Overwatch break that was talking about in my previous BS podcast, and I wanted to try out another game. And I do not consider myself a huge gamer. I've talked about that in the past and stuff like that. I have to be like really really invested in one certain game at a time. And I hear stories all the time of people being invested in RPGs, and I had never really experienced that. I have tried like a couple, but I like it for like a few minutes or something like that, and then I find something. Very often, I like childishly find something sort of difficult, and that like pushes me away from it. And there's something like I don't understand about it or something like that because I'm too boomer, I guess. I don't know. Um, Something like Fire Emblem. I have Awakening, and I've played like maybe like 25 minutes of it, and I was like a little confused with like the mechanics of the fighting and stuff like that. So I shelved it. I'm gonna go back to it eventually, but it's just like that's kind of my experience, or I get stuck in a certain space area. Um, so this Tales of Vesperia is definitely like the first like RPG that I want to take seriously, that I want to really try and get into. We're not counting like MMO. I tried to play like Guild Wars 2 as like an MMO if you want to like count that. Um, but this one, and I also wanted something that looked like anime. And my biggest takeaway as like a positive from this experience so far is that this game has the anime vibes. And I know that there's a an anime adaptation of this. I don't know if it's OVAs like they did with Symphonia, which I'm going to be checking out as well, or if it's an actual series. But I'm sure I'll check that out eventually. But there are really cool cutscenes in this one, and even like in game, all the character designs and like the story itself, the fantasy world, all is very anime. I'm sure this is like an older game, so this isn't really like I'm sure that most people that you know, I think a lot of people watching me probably know what Tales of Vesperia is and the Tales of series in general. Um, so let's just I guess talk about more of my experience. So I'm about 8 hours in or so. And I know I said I've been playing for a week, but that's the time that I've been able to commit to it with while being busy with other things. I put in about I want to say 8 hours of gameplay. I really should have checked before I started this. I do know I am at the Shaikos ruins, and we just met Rita and added Rita to our party. Uh, Rita's a character that I like a lot, by the way. Rita's really funny. Characters wise, this is again really anime esque. They definitely like it has the vibes of something that like a show I'd want to watch, and I'm not really into like the night type high fantasy sort of story all the time. But I mean, this one is really dressed up like an anime. That's what's really sort of impressing me. The world is interesting. The characters are interesting. You got Yuri Lowell, the main guy, who is probably he's definitely my favorite to play as so far. I mostly just play as him. You can shift around to like the other characters in your party. There's like Estelle, who's this like healing magic type person. Then there's Rapide, who's a dog with a sword, which is pretty cool. Um, then you get Carol, who's this little kid with like a hammer, I think it is. His name's Carol, which is kind of weird, but whatever. 2020, whatever, do what you want to do. Uh, and we just got our newest member of the party, Rita, who's another like magic user. So and I've tried to use each of the characters like a little bit, and I always end up going back to Yuri. Yuri, the main guy. I love his design. I love his like purple flowing hair. Purple's my favorite color, by the way. And I like how he's a hero, but he's interestingly like jaded. Like he used to be one of like these knights and had some sort of falling out with them, and he's from like the lower quarter, which seems to be like a different sort of sect of people in this world. I love how the world is designed. You have all these like towns, villages, whatever, that are protected by barriers because there's evil, similar to like Ruby, and I guess this maybe probably would have came out before Ruby. I don't remember, but so if you've seen Ruby, then you know that like there's like the Grimm, right? And there's people that whose job it is to defend like society from the Grimm. In the world of Tales of Vesperia, there's a lot of creatures just all over the place and monsters, and they have these like protective barriers on each town or whatever to keep everybody safe, and they can malfunction and everything like that. So you need knights, you need people that use magic and stuff like that. Magic is an interesting. We're learning more about it as the story progresses, like the history of it, how people got to start using magic, and people trying to sort of like engineer new ways to access magic because you need certain like combinations of. Somebody's gonna butcher me about getting something wrong here, I'm sure, but whatever. I'm a novice. That's what this is about. As far as I understand, you need like two important things to be doing magic. You need like sort of like a catalyst sort of thing, and you need like a tool to kind of push it forward, something like that. I like that. I like how it's not just like, oh, people can use magic, by the way, they just use magic. Like it explains it. It explains what it means to be a knight. It explains what it means to use magic. Explains what it means to be outside of the like highest realm of the kingdom and stuff like that. It explains like how magic is important to people. Interesting character. Yuri Lowell, my favorite guy so far. He's the hero, but he's jaded. He's got a little bit of an attitude to him, but he is very kind. He's he's loyal to his friends. He's got this dog, Rapide. One of the best doggos in gaming, probably. He's awesome. He's a dog with a sword thing, and he kind of, has a mind of his own, really. He does whatever he really wants to do. People try and have, like, engaging conversations with Rapide, and he kind of just, like leaves. Estelle keeps trying to talk to him and pet him and stuff like that. But he is, he was also her pillow when she was knocked out. So that was interesting about Rapide. I'd like to know more about him and, Yuri's relationship, how they met and everything like that. I'd like to know some more of that. How he got to be a sword-using dog. You got Estelle, who's an interesting girl that basically lived her whole life in this castle and like literally never seemingly went out at all. She reads a lot of books. She knows a lot about like healing magic and stuff like that. And she's very naive. But willing to go on the adventure and wants to help people and realistically wants to find, oh my goodness, what is his name? The blonde guy. Flynn, right? Flynn, at least I'm assuming it's this blonde guy because, he's on the cover of the game and it seems like he's going to be pretty important. But as of yet, I have yet to physically see Flynn in the game because they're still trying to catch up to him. Estelle has a thing for him, I guess, or they're related. Who knows how this is going to go? But she has a thing for him. They're trying to find him. Yuri has some interesting backstory with him because Flynn is one of the knights, and Yuri was a knight, and then all of a sudden didn't really feel like doing it anymore. So interesting, conflicting views going on there. Carol is this like little kid who's part of like this guild. Oh, that's another thing that's cool. This reminded me of like the little bit that I know about One Piece. in the sense that there are guilds who, as far as I understand, I feel like I've said this sentence a million times. As far as I understand, guilds like segregate themselves from like the world government, to use like a One Piece term. So they're basically like pirates, I guess. There's a bunch of different guilds that do different things. His is like a monster hunter guild, but he's kind of young and thinks he's a lot tougher than he is. But he's pretty steadfast in wanting to do a good thing and help people and stuff like that. Yeah, characters are really interesting. The combat system is interesting. I like how it's not like this turn-based thing like in Pokemon, what I've experienced before. It is like action dynamic kind of combat where the camera is pretty fixed. You can rotate like your target, but it'll like go on. You like lock onto a target and you use. Let's say you're using Yuri for example. He has this sword. You have like your basic attacks. Pretty simple. I have a funny story about that in a moment. You have your basic attacks, then you have these like attacks that are like enhanced with like the magic, where he throws wind or something with his sword. You have like combos that you can do with repeat and stuff like that. I'm sure with the other characters, yeah, the combat is interesting. You kind of just go up and it's exactly what I want. You go up and you kind of just beat the crap out of things. I'm playing it on easy, so sorry if that's easy and semi-auto. I tried to do a little bit of research. It seems like I had read a good route for beginners was to go on semi-auto, which I don't know all of the differences. I'm just assuming that it means that I have control of some things and some others I've probably like helped out with. But I have the combat on easy, and I haven't really been super challenged so far, but I'm more in this for the story. I did have one boss fight that was pretty challenging, but that was because of my own fault. So like I said, there's basic attacks, and then there's these, I forget what they're called, but like the enhances, like your basic attack is like your B button. Then there's attacks, that use, like, you can use like the right thumbstick. You could set what it is. You can set like directions on the right thumbstick or something, and that's at least what I'm doing. Or like directions on your left stick, and then like have that like tied to a certain attack, because you get a couple different attacks. So like he has one called like Yuri has one called Azure Edge, which he like launches wind at somebody, and like I have that set to like I think it's like right stick right or something, just for example. And so when I was first learning these, I got all the way is not very far, but I got to like what I considered like a first either mini boss fight or boss fight, against this guy Ziga. His name began with a Z, and he had like Yu-Gi-Oh hair, and he fought with these cool like arm blade things, and he seems like he's out of his mind. Pretty interesting antagonist. But you have this fight with him in the castle, and it's you and Estelle. It's Yuri and Estelle against this guy. And up until now, you've been fighting really weak things. He's it's on easy mode, but he's fairly tough. He's a lot stronger than the knights that you were fighting. And I had spent this entire time just using basic attacks. Just the normal slash, and I would block, and then I would hit them, and I would block. And I was like, man, it's telling me I'm learning these moves. I think it told me I learned Azure Edge. How come he doesn't do it? And I went through this whole fight and got a little beat up. A little bit, not a lot. Come on now, I'm not that bad, but like got a little beat up, and won the whole fight with just basic attacks. Then I go to some resource. I watched some YouTube video about like a walkthrough kind of thing. I think because I had gotten confused about a corridor and where I needed to go. This happens to me a lot. This is another reason why I don't play a lot of games, because I have very poor spatial relation and like direction, sense of direction, which is funny because Yuri in this game, a joke is that he has a bad sense of direction. So sympathize with you, Yuri. Sometimes the wisest men of culture, I guess, have a bad sense of direction. Don't you forget it. But So sometimes I need to look up like a walkthrough type of thing just to see like an area I need to watch or something like that. I try not to spoil any of the story for myself. As soon as it starts to get into that, I usually turn the video off and then I play. So I must have done that, and I think in the video they might have covered that battle with like that first boss battle kind of thing, and he's doing a bunch of like Azure Edge attacks and stuff like that, and I'm like, wait a minute, I wasn't using everything in my arsenal. I literally did that whole fight just whacking the guy, and what would have been the most boring anime fight in the history of time, literally just block, boop, block, boop. Yeah, but since then, I learned that you need to bind the moves. And it's much easier now that I can do that. So, that's pretty neat. I do like the combat. I mean, maybe I just missed something and it was auto-binding to something that I just wasn't really, like, using. But I have it set up in a certain way now that I rather enjoy. We'll see how that goes once I develop some more moves. He has like a Cerberus strike now, and I don't know how many like, you get are available at once, but we'll see. I like it a lot. I like the combat. It's what I want it to be. It's not overly complicated where it's like I've seen people play like in an MMO where you're using like every fucking F key that you have, and it's like, oh, these are all my abilities and they all have different cooldowns, and I didn't want that. I like how this one's just, it's about some blocking and some, like, reacting and seeing your opening and attacking it and trying to, like, combo some stuff together if you can. And, yeah, it's really interesting. I'm loving Tales of Vesperia a lot. I'm in the Shykos Ruins, where we just met this Rita character, who's another sorceress. A lot of comedy going on with her. And yeah, very good looking game overall. This is like I believe like a super refurbished version, remastered version of a game I believe that originally was on the Xbox 360. I've never played any other Tales of games before, but if there were any like this, I'm sure that they'd be really interesting. I just played the one that is on the console that I happen to have here. I know I could play them on PC, but I don't really feel like that. I didn't feel like hooking up a controller to my PC and stuff. And, this is the kind of game I feel like I'd really want to play with a controller, even though I'm slow to figure out how to play the game. Clearly, excuse me. But yeah, so yeah, we're very short into the game, I imagine, but our party is growing, and I am officially happy with my purchase so far. I don't play it every day. When I do play it, I play it for like half an hour, 40 minutes, something like that. So this is not going to be something that I finish quickly. Hopefully I can make a couple videos about this. If not, I'll just make another one at the end of it and tell you my thoughts on the end of it. But right now, really enjoying Tales of Vesperia. If you guys have checked out Tales of Vesperia, let me know down below, or like tell me what your favorite Tales of game is. I'm curious to know. I know there's a lot of debate about that. If you've seen the Tales of Vesperia anime, I want to know about that as well. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. It means a lot to me. Thank you to everybody that supports me on Patreon. If you like what I'm doing here, please hit that subscribe button down below and the bell notification so you know when I'm uploading. And thank you so much for watching. My name is Miasma, and I'll see you next time.